Buffalo police arrested Paul Gaeta in 1978 in Delaware Park while he was in the middle of a sex act with an 11-year-old boy. According to court records, Gaeta lured the 11-year-old to his car with candy. He was arrested, handcuffed, and charged with a felony sex crime. But the office of the Erie County DA, who at the time was Ed Cosgrove, and a judge, Anthony LaRusso, agreed to dismiss the charges, citing letters of reference from unnamed supporters in the community and a psychiatric report which stated that the doctor did not believe Gaeta would do this again. Cosgrove, in a brief phone call, said he does not remember the case. But after Common Councilman Norm Backus put Gaeta in charge of the advisory board for Lovejoy Elderly and Youth, Ron Noasel says Gaeta did strike again, sexually molesting his brother Jeremy, who later committed suicide.
And he said, Ron, I was raped. I think Jeremy had everything to do with Paul Gaeta, everything to do with the abuse. Do I think they can all be connected? Absolutely. Do I think they're covering things up? 100%.
I believe that there was a circle of people who all knew each other. One being David Mayday. He's a connection to many people named here.
David Mayday was a well-known businessman in Buffalo who was arrested in 1987 in a high-profile sting operation regarding child pornography.
When federal investigators and Queen City cops raided David Mayday's Brittany Lane home last June, they hit the jackpot. A room full of evidence, including a sex orgy diary naming dozens of teenage partners and their pet fetishes. They also confiscated his boat as an alleged meeting place involving young boys and cocaine.
According to court records obtained by the I-Team after decades in storage, Mayday, like Paul Gaeta, was also a volunteer in the Big Brothers Big Sisters program for troubled youth. When one Buffalo teenager came forward in 1987 to accuse Mayday of sexual abuse, he told police he met Mayday after Mayday contacted a Bailey Lovejoy area community agency looking for boys who could work around his West Side home. The article also stated that in 1987, close to 100 young boys in the Buffalo area sold themselves as prostitutes, and police had a list of 20 adults, including a lawyer, a dentist, and a school teacher, they believe used these boys.
They work in cells, they're very secretive and very close-minded about who they let in, and they keep their cells very small. It's very difficult to infiltrate them. It's very difficult to gather intelligence on them.
We asked Steve McMartin, a former federal agent who specialized in child pornography investigations, whether it was plausible that accused child abusers like Mayday and Gaeta were working together. Based on his experience investigating sex crimes, McMartin said it's a common practice.
Well, it's not only plausible, it's the way things operated. What would happen is you would have this small cell, this small group of people, and once they found a child that they could molest, they would share that child, and the child would be passed through the group.
Ron Noasel thinks he came close to ending up a victim of one of these groups. He says he remembers getting lured as a young boy to a house on Green Street in Lovejoy by Gaeta and another man.
I walked in and that other guy was wearing like one of those cocktail jackets. There was pornography on the table, and Paul was sitting on a couch. He says, "Hey, come over here and sit down." So I sat at one end of the couch. He says, No, get over here. Come here, let's just talk about it." The whole idea was he wanted me right next to him, and then the other guy started walking in. I got the heck up and I got out of there. Now, I ran all the way home.
Unlike him, Janet Burr never got away.
I believed Janet Burr without question.
Tim Graham is an award-winning journalist who interviewed Janet Burr of Lovejoy about abuse she allegedly suffered by Gaeta at the Lovejoy community organization, Abley.
I interviewed a vice detective who told me that Paul Gaeta was on his Mount Rushmore of pedophiles that he wanted to arrest.
The Buffalo News never published Burr's story, and she has since died, but Graham still has her handwritten notes.
Did Gaeta molest me? Yes. Did he steal a part of me? Yes. Did he ruin my teenage years? Yes.
Burr also mentioned the friendship between Gaeta and Mayday.
Another time he brought me to Dave Mayday's house and picked up some kids from Dote by a church. I waited in the front room while Paul took the boys to the back of the house. I don't know what happened, but it wasn't good.
Hastreiter and Noasel both say child sexual abuse has had a lasting effect on the Lovejoy neighborhood.
7 or 8 young men from our neighborhood that had died between 2003 and 2006 from killing themselves. One of them hung himself. Some of them drug overdose. One took antifreeze.
Names my buddy Tony, my buddy Johnny, my buddy Mike, you know, and so on. And Frankie, you know, who was my brother's best friend, he's not with us. And he drank himself to death. I mean, in your 30s, your early 30s, all these guys are dead between 25 and 35. It's just insane. It's incomprehensible. There's got to be something. There's not a drug flying through the air that makes you commit suicide, you know, that makes you go down that wrong road and cannot get out completely.